Today I'm talking to Isabel Mislinay, who is a business coach and specializes in the area of real estate. And I want to thank you for joining me here today, Isabel. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I appreciate you inviting me. My pleasure.
Thank you. And I wanted to explore with you, given you've lived in America for 37 years, you're from Ecuador originally. I wanted
Yes.
to explore with you your kind of take on your life experience, your time here in America, and your kind of sense on your take on the American dream. Thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Well, one of the reasons why I do in my career, actually, which is, you said, specialize in real estate, is because I am in real estate myself. I was a realtor for a couple of years and then I become a mortgage loan officer. And the reason being is because I became really good in sales. And I figure, what are the biggest sales when somebody can buy something? I love shoes, but it's not going to be shoes. I will have to sell many shoes. It will be homes because that's the biggest investment you're going to do. And that tied into the American dream because once you have your home, if you can achieve that, which is something owning your peace of mind, leaving something for your generations to come, it is the American dream. And I realize here in the States, it quite become, although not lately because do rates come up and down, fluctuate. But if you really think about the opportunity it could given to you if you work for it, you have to prepare yourself for that. But most people think they cannot do it. Oh, I will never own a home. Oh, that's not for me. And I want to be able to assist them with that and be the bridge and says, yes, you can. It might take preparation. It might not be right now. But if you work on getting yourself there, maybe adjusting your expenses, maybe living within a budget, maybe getting a better job, maybe saving money here, maybe not having that Starbucks every week, or maybe you could eventually. And I have clients after 3 5 years, they had been able to say, okay, now we have this, now we can do it. And that's what for me, the American dream, it can be fulfilled. Because once you have your home, nobody can, well, obviously there's reasons, but ideally can throw you out of your home. Even your kids will come back to visit you because you have a home, and you have something to offer. And I think it will bring a stability and will bring roots to the person who owns a piece of land. And what a better place to own a piece of America. That's for me, the American dream is so important. And I think everybody should attain to that dream.
And you have lived in California for 37 years, and you come from Ecuador, and you came all those many years ago, and you were living a great life in Ecuador. Your mum had an established, very successful bakery and was doing very well, and life was good in Ecuador. But something prompted you to change everything, and I'm curious, what was that?
Well, yes, you're right about that. I did have, and I still do. I've been blessed with a beautiful life, and over there was very nice and comfortable. And what the reason why I came, believe it or not, is because what makes the world go around is love. I came for love. I came chasing a boyfriend that it was going to have his college in a different, in outside of Ecuador, and I was heartbroken. I was sad. And my mother thought that what is cured to me was maybe change of a scenery. And she wanted me to come to LA, Los Angeles, where my uncle and my cousins lived. And I have a cousin that is my same age. So she thought, oh, maybe you go visit her, spend the summer there, and then you'll be fine. And she was exactly right. I came that summer and I did think about contact my boyfriend, but then I started meeting other people, going out, had a new freedom that I didn't have in Ecuador, and I loved it. I went, and my mom said, "Well, if you're gonna stay there, you gotta do something." So I learned English. I didn't speak English before. I enrolled to the city college and start taking English classes. So that's the reason why I came, for love.
You did say at the earlier point in the conversation that you wouldn't have had the freedom you were enjoying back in Ecuador, and that was at that time the thing that enticed you to stay. Say a little bit more about that. What were the differences?
Yeah, well, maybe I shouldn't say freedom, but it was in a way. I come from a family of five. Well, actually, my oldest brother passed away, but we were four brothers, and I was the only girl. And being the only girl, I was very protected and very sheltered. My mom was a very strong woman. I keep saying my mom because my poor dad, I whatever I wanted to do, he will always say yes. So it was not, he was always, he's a joker, or he was a joker. They both had passed away by now, but he was somebody who really spoiled me. So he couldn't deny anything. So I always had to, my mom is the one who, yes or no. And I wouldn't go out past a certain curfew. I was not actually allowed to have a boyfriend until, literally, my 17-year-old, 18-year-old, I was starting to date because she would not allow that before. And if I would go out, I would go out with one of my brothers who, if they see a boy wanted to come and ask me for dance, they will go there and ask me for dance. And I said, no, I don't want to dance with you. I want to dance with so and so. And if I wanted to dance again, they would say, no, okay, it's time to come home. So I always felt I was very, very sheltered. I had plus being on my own kind of thing with my cousin. My uncle, my aunt, they were very nice. They always let us out, and we went pretty much every day. We went out. It was fun at that time. That summer, I'll never forget, because I got to see different places and went out and shop, and it was a difference from Ecuador that I didn't have over there. The liberty to go out and go anywhere. So that's what I said. My new freedom.
Mm,
When you ask me, the reason why I came here is because of love, and because of love, I stay here. I see a lot of people come over here for different reasons. Me, because they want a different type of freedom, because in their country they don't see their opportunities that they could find here. And I do recognize that. I do feel that the American dream is here. You don't hear the American dream from Germany or from Ecuador or from anywhere else. Is from the States. It's because of the opportunities that are found here for the people that are really sick for that, because everybody has an opportunity and a chance. So when I was in Ecuador, I could have owned my own business, because that's actually my mom kind of used me as a, enticed me to come back, to go back to Ecuador, because she said, listen, when if you come back, all the businesses, I'm going to put it under your name. Everything will be yours, and all you had to do is, I'll keep the main shop where was the factory, and you will buy me the product at a very fraction of a price, where everything will be yours. And I said, no. I mean, obviously, I didn't say it like that, but I was thinking, how silly of me. Oh, who knows what? I said, no, I'd rather be in the United States working for a living for what, $10 an hour, instead of really having a nice, very comfortable life with maids, with chauffeur, with everything that I could have wanted. It could have been mine. But I think at that point in my life, I figured, no, I want to get out of my comfort zone and see what else I can do. What can I achieve? And it being here in the States, I really appreciated that. I never felt, uh, as an immigrant, I guess, that I could be put down or denied opportunities, or felt that I was let down for some reason, because number one, I didn't speak the language. Number two, I was uh, Latina or Hispanic, which I didn't even know I was that. When my husband met me, and they used to make fun of me because I said, I'm white. What is the Latina? What it does it make me something different, or Hispanic? And it says, well, no. I go, well, in Ecuador, I am white. I'm whatever that means, not in a different level, higher or lower. It's just the same as everybody. So when I came here, it seems like I needed to put myself in a box to
Mm,
fit. And I refused to do that. I was not going to do that because uh, I didn't feel intimidated when I was in Ecuador. I guess the way I was raised, my mother teach me to have a voice. Although I was spoiled, but I wasn't rotten spoiled, I guess. But I was very given the opportunity to speak my mind, and to obviously use the golden rule with everyone, and not feel like I have certain privileges because of that.
mm,
Always be appreciative. She has a humongous, nice, beautiful faith, which I try to honor her and my dad. They're both very faithful, that we always appreciate who the source was. And when it's God, not necessarily my talent or my luck. It was just given from above.
mm,
So when I came here, I keep that in mind, that
mm,
you know, it's a not I take it for granted kind of thing.
absolutely. And when you refer to the American dream, do you think everybody has their own kind of perception of what the American dream is? I mean, I know there's the official sense of what the American dream is, but you didn't come in pursuit of the American dream. But once you were here, is that is that what you became interested in? Is that what it
Yes,
sounds that way?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I noticed, even with my own family, my cousins, I always felt that for me, the one of the biggest achievements is education. So the better you are, the better man on yourself, and grow and learn as much or become more knowledgeable, the more valuable you can become. And that makes the difference. Not your color of your skin, not the money you have, is or how ambitious you can be. Is you basically your knowledge. The more you know, you can and my dad always used to say, because he was an engineer, he always promoted that. He always was learning, always reading, always doing that. So it's like the more education you have, the bigger your comprehension about the world and cultures it is. So when I noticed that you had an opportunity to go to school for free, literally, and people don't take advantage of that, it's like it's kind of shameful not to use those tools. When my kids graduated from high school, they immediately, I could have sent them to college right away, but or universities, but the city of Ventura, where I live here, have a called the Ventura Promise. So the first year it's free completely, as long as they go from high school to college, and that's a big savings. That's great, and everybody has access to that. In comparison to Ecuador, if you want to have good education, you have to pay, and it's costly. I guess you can go to public schools. I don't really can really tell you the difference, because I didn't go that. I went to private schools, very high pay tuition schools, because my parents could afford that. And it was because education was put it as a higher level. So as long as maybe sometimes you have the wrong feeling that if it's attached to a high dollar price, you're going to get high education. But here in the States, where you have so many opportunities, so many good schools, yes, a degree from Yale or from Harvard is highly regarded. But let's say if you're a doctor and you get a doctorate degree from another university, I don't know, a smaller university, you're still a doctor, regardless of where you study. So that education, I think it's great that people have more access here, and that's what opens the opportunity to have the American dream. That for me means you can own your own home.
Mm,
You can be able to have the means to buy and create uh, uh, something for your family, build something for your future where you feel secure.
mm. But do you think that one thing that throws me in what you're saying is you talk about the education being free. I, from the angle I see education, it's very expensive in America. So I'm a bit confused.
You're right. It is expensive, but not in the level of public schools. I guess for kindergarten and up, you can go to a decent school. Although I didn't do that, I sent my kids to parish school, Catholic schools, but I could see because of the small grades can bring higher attention from the teachers to the students. So at that level, it is free and accessible uh, to everyone literally here. I mean, education is very accessible. Obviously, you have a choice to do if you wanted better or smaller schools or classrooms, then that's your choice. But for the most part, it's accessible. And in Ecuador, I don't think it's like that, or in other countries. I think you still have to pay to go to school. Here, you can have free lunches, free materials. Over there, everything you have to pay for that.
Mm,
So now, obviously, in terms of higher education, yes, you're right. You have to pay, and it's very costly, especially if you have the IB schools. The bigger the or the fame of the name, the higher it's going to cost you. But that's what I'm saying. In comparison, how a degree from a certain university can give you certain connections, I guess. But at the end of the day, you still have the same degree.
yeah, you
It
have the
doesn't say
same
a doctor,
qualification.
a higher or better doctor because you went to Harvard. You're still
Mm,
a doctor.
mm,
So that's why. But you're right; it is very expensive. But I think there is student loans in Ecuador.
mm,
We don't have student loans. You have
mm,
to pay. The parents have to pay for that, or you have to, work yourself to do that. Here, you basically make it available with so many programs if you
mm.
really want to go to school.
And when you came to LA and you started working as a receptionist in the law firm, how were you able to stay in America?
That's a good question because I when I came for a visa, I was extending my visa, and then when I met my husband, and then like a year later, it was kind of quick, but he wanted to marry me. I became a legal citizen through marriage. So we applied to that, and that's how I stay.
So when you were staying here full time, having got married, did you go back into education at that time?
Yes, I did because again, it was planted in me, or it was really by my father that education was very important. So I went to college and I took some classes on marketing and then yeah, basically marketing. But my true love was always writing. And when I was in Ecuador, I went to school to become basically a writer. It was taking pedagogy was the school that I went to. And my ambition was that one day I will become a writer because I had an uncle who was very well known and he was my favorite uncle. I was his favorite niece, I wanted to believe. And we always talk about books. He always asked me to read certain books, and my dad, one of the things that had changed the way or maybe formed the way I think is he introduced this book to me when I was, I want to say, 12 years old, and it was The Greatest Salesman in the World. I don't know if you have heard of the book of Mandino. It's a beautiful book that teaches about life and what you could really be if you really want it. And it was just transformative for me because it opened my mind to I could be anything, and it's sort of like an open world for me if I really know what I want. And I think that's the difference for a lot of people. Do we really know what we want? Because when we don't know what we want, I think that's when we go sailing in life. We don't know exactly where to land. It's wherever life take us, and we are in control at the end of the day of where we want to be if we know what we want. So that seed was planted at that time, and I always wanted to do like a personal growth. So marketing and all that was great, but I didn't think it was fulfilling to me, although it helped me to land jobs. So because of that, one of the jobs that I landed was working for a newspaper as a salesperson. And I didn't know I was going to be a good in sales, but I had a good teacher, a good coach, a good mentor. So I did really well. But then that was just my way to getting in this publication. And then I asked, I would like that I wanted to write and I wanted to do some reviews. So they gave me the opportunity to do that. And that took me completely in a different direction where if I in retrospect, if I see the things that I've done in my life has been really, really good things where God has put me where um, I guess my searching for something better always had put me in great jobs, great people that had I met, great opportunities that I had opened for me. Also because I'm bilingual, I think that was the gift as well. Yes, so education, yeah, it really definitely helped me.
Mm. And did you come into America bilingual? Were you already able to speak English when you arrived?
I went to a school that it was bilingual, but not really. I mean, I learned to say good morning. I didn't know how to say hi. I was proper English, very proper, but it was not the colloquial or the day by day kind of English. So, but I never really had the opportunity to practice. So, in theory, I knew it. And sometimes my husband, well, I shouldn't say sometimes. A lot of times he asked me, "How do you spell this?" Because my English and grammar was very good, but I was intimidated in that sense to talk at the beginning. But what it helped me, and I think, and maybe this is a tip for somebody who wants to learn another language, or why how my English is better in a sense. I'm still learning. I'm always learning. It's because I love music. So I used to memorize the music. I learned American music, English songs, and I memorized the lyrics without knowing what I was saying, but I will repeat it. So I think that helped me in my pronunciation and grasp of the language. It helped me a lot. So when now you decide, okay, I gotta, because of my husband, we were, really speaking, but not really. And I decided, okay, I got to speak English, I guess. This is what I got to do. Because he, till this day, we've been married for 35 years. He doesn't speak Spanish. So I, I had to speak English. So I started talking.
Mm. And is your husband born and bred in America then?
Yes, he is from Michigan, but his background is from my last name, actually, Mislinay, a little different last name, is Hungarian background, but he's also part Lebanese. So it's a little, all my kids were little gypsies because it is a mix of everything. And that's what I love about America. And, the mix of cultures and colors and languages and all that makes us very unique. I mean,
Mm.
the Latino that is from the States is very different from the Latino that is from Mexico or from South America. Because even though I've been here less than 4 years, I consider myself very American. I love Ecuador. I will never deny my roots, but I do appreciate what is being here. I don't take things for granted. I appreciate everything that this country has given me, my family, my kids, my husband, my life pretty much has been because of I do appreciate that generosity that the American people have, very welcoming. It has not been my experience that I know we talk a lot about immigration, especially lately. And from my point of view, I can tell you, it's what you created. If you think you're going to be put down because of your color of your skin or because you're not at the same level, then you will allow that. Not that person. It's you who allow that. And I never allow that. Not that I was doing it on purpose. It's just that the way I was raised or was brought up is that we're all the same. Nobody's superior, nobody's inferior. And we all have the same opportunities and qualities.
Mm,
It's just up to each person to bring it to the highest level.
mm,
If you don't want to be successful, it's because we can have so many excuses, and sometimes they're very valid. I understand that, but the opportunity is there for everyone, and I definitely took advantage of a lot of opportunities.
mm. Do you honestly think that it's the case that people, the color of your skin has no bearing here? I'm a bit incredulous that you say that because that's not the evidence I'm seeing.
I can understand both sides, and I do, but at the same time, I cannot speak for that because I haven't lived that experience, right?
Mm,
Although tone of skin is different, um, I think the difference is for people that come from a different country that lived here, and that's my case. I'm an immigrant, but somehow as I developed my life here and I planted my roots here, I stopped being an immigrant. And I think that's the reason why I feel the way I feel.
mm,
Because my brothers, and they're younger than me, they are, they still consider themselves immigrants.
mm,
And I don't. And that's, I mean, we came from the same mother and father, same, we were raised the same, but somehow, and I was analyzing that about just different people that I had met. When somebody comes here in this country, they try to stay in their comfort zone. So they go to the neighborhood that they are either they're Haitians or they're Mexicans or they're Latinos or they're Italians or they're Irish. They try to find their tribe, which is good. I understand that because the risk is you feel homesick, you don't stay here and then you go back, right? Because you can't bear it. So you want something familiar. But that should be just at the beginning. It can be a crutch. It can be something that you're handicapping yourself by allowing yourself to always depend on that. At one point, you have to open up, even learning the language, and that's I always wanted to assimilate. I didn't want it to be the stranger or something place. Not that I wanted to blend in because I don't. I think I don't want to do that either. I want to be noticed. I
mm.
don't want to be ignored.
But when you said when you talked about being an immigrant and you said you don't want to be put in a box, officially, officially, shall we say, you were and are an immigrant, but you are also an American citizen because you've been here so many years and you have your permanency, I presume, to stay here forever. Not no longer determined by your marriage, but just determined by you. Um,
Yes.
you've created that for yourself as well. Um, and you married an American. So I suppose you've like like you said, people are from many countries, and there are lots of intermarriages and cross-cultural marriages and things like that. So people do integrate to some degree. And you have, so you have chosen, so you do choose to see yourself more as an American citizen than you do as an immigrant. Um, and your brothers see themselves as immigrants, but does it really matter?
No, you're right. It is not like it really matters. It's just that when it comes to certain situations, I have known people that even my brothers, they consider themselves Ecuadorian more than Americans. And it's not that I don't consider myself Ecuadorian. Maybe that's not. I consider myself. That's the difference. I don't label myself, oh, I'm Ecuador or I'm from the States. I'm just a person that lives, I'm just a woman that lives here, and I love my life, and I love where I live. I don't put myself that label. I don't think I need that to be recognized or to be accepted or hide it because I'm afraid of people will think less of me if I say my background or something. And that's the issue. I don't like those labels.
Mm,
And when it comes to, I mean, I know somebody, actually, the other day, I met somebody who I asked where he was from, and he says, "Oh, I'm from Mexico." I said, "Oh, I didn't realize." I said, "Well, no, no, no. I was born here, but my parents are from Mexico." And he was actually um, identifying himself from the town of Mexico, which was Querétaro, where his parents are coming from. This is who I identify now. I have lived here more years than I live over there. So this is
mm,
my reality, and this is going to
mm,
be my future. I don't deny my past. This is who had made me, but this is where my flag is at now.
mm,
And I appreciate that. I'm not in between. I'm not choosing because of it's convenient, or sometimes I can get more if I say that I'm Hispanic or women. Yeah, but I want to be my own merit, not because it's a convenience.
mm,
And that what I think has made me a more like universal instead of being more trying to again that box that I'm talking that I don't like that
mm,
label.
mm,
I do believe that we are a product of our environment. It does make a huge influence where you were raised, where you were born, where in it because it is somehow part of your becomes of your DNA who you are. So you can't deny that, right? But it's also as how you and again goes back for me education opens your mind to accept other ideologies, other thoughts, other uh, ways of having communication and conversations without having arguments. I used to, and I was taught that because I'm a big believer, my faith is number one, I mean, it's very strong. And I was told you can have conversations in public about two things, religion and politics. You can. And I would accept it. But then I got to a point that well, if I believe in God and somebody tells me, no, God doesn't exist, I respect what you're saying, but I will defend how I believe because I believe, and this is how I strongly maybe my point of view becomes because it's who I am, that we all created by the same God and we all children of God, therefore we all equal in the eyes of God. Now, we, the world, the everything make complicated. We complicate things, but from the beginning it was perfect. And we hear the ego, the who knows what, it tarnish your spirit to now you start seeing things in different points of view. And I understand that that has not been my and I want to be true to what I feel. I haven't. Maybe I have, but I haven't. I maybe I ignore it. I don't think I had been discriminated. I never felt that way because I grew up with four brothers. I had to defend myself. I grew up knowing that I know everything, and we all do, right? So, and we don't like it when somebody doesn't agree with our point of view. And I understand that too. But I think I got to the point in my life that I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think, so they don't think, or what they agree or not with me. You believe what you believe, great. I believe what I believe. We all, and what I want is peace and love for me is love is, like I said from the very beginning, I came here looking for love, and I stay here because I found true love. And love is, if you see people with love, with kind eyes, you can be very generous in your accepting someone from a different culture or country or ideology or belief. If there's room for everyone, and this is where I'm at. I love and accept everyone. I don't like conflict. I don't like those differences. And I understand they do exist. Actually, my husband was saying something the other day. "Oh, I can't believe this." I go, honey, I get to the point that I have to accept that there's in the world, there's travelers and there's luggage carriers. I put it so simple like that, but it's true. Not everybody can be a certain level. We sometimes we feel like we're there, sometimes we feel we're not. They're always going to find someone that's smarter than me. Always going to find someone more successful than me. And there's plenty of people that can feel less than me. That's okay. This is how we learn to navigate life, as complicated as it is. I don't want to make it more complicated. I just want to live as playful, as bountiful, as faithful as I can live, because the only ones that really matter are my kids and what I'm gonna live as my grandkids. They're
Mm.
gonna feel proud of their grandmother.
So I'm curious, you've lived in America now for 37 years, and that's more than you lived in Ecuador. Do you ever consider moving to another country or returning to Ecuador?
Yes, actually, I am moving constantly, I think. I think that has been part of my growth and the way I see life, because I have been able to absorb different cultures and different communities and different people. Coming from Ecuador, yeah, it was a big change from a small country, very naive maybe, to a huge opportunity and a lot of people. It was maybe a culture shock at the beginning, but then I adjusted really well because I was young and I didn't know better, right? I didn't know, maybe they were talking on my back. I thought they were smiling at me. Who knows? But maybe ignorance sometimes it can be a bliss sometimes. So yes, but after being through work, my husband and I, we were moved several times. Not like the military family, but we did move and our kids several times. We lived in Florida through work for many years. And that was a culture shock, let me tell you, because I was living in LA where we close our doors. You don't know what your neighbor and what they do, and you see them maybe hi and bye in the morning or at night. Then moving to Florida, where I live in a cul-de-sac and coming from an apartment to a house, and then the neighbors come and knocking on my door and wanted to know who I am. I was, why? Because people are so nosy, and it was because that was a different culture. So I had to kind of remember how I was in Ecuador. Wait, I am friendly. I can't be the snob thinking coming from California. So I adapted and I changed, and I ended up seeing myself outside the cul-de-sac with other moms putting chairs and watching our kids ride the bikes. When I never thought I would do that. And people don't do that in LA, to be honest with you. Everybody's so afraid of everybody. So that was a nice change, and my kids were very nice, happy living there with neighbors and really enjoying neighbors. Then from there we moved to Maryland for a few years, and I love Maryland. The beauty of this country in so many places, its topography was just beautiful. I really enjoy, and this is where my love for antiques maybe grew, because I appreciated old places where from the 1700s, where where Washington was, or in this battle of this happened. And I really, the culture in Washington, D.C. is amazing. They're beautiful places, museums that you can go for free. So we appreciated that and took advantage of all that. Every week was, because we didn't have family. So we were always going somewhere out and about. So that formed another way of me being, because I appreciated that, and that helped me. Then I moved back to California because my mom was sick. So, and my kids were growing up without cousins, and I want that in their life too. So we came back to California, and we've been here since then, actually since 2000, the change of century, we moved back to California, and we had to leave many things behind and started new things here. So it was starting from zero again, and we adapted and we changed. And I'm always been open to go to Ecuador, go back, because now my kids are grown. Maybe I don't really have a need to be in a place. Maybe I have the freedom to get up and go. So one of the countries that I was attracting me was Portugal. Oh, I would be love to live there. My husband will love the idea. And you know what the beauty of it is? I can always come back.
So yeah, so I think it's really interesting where you be, and that's what you've been saying about America, that when you live somewhere and sort of integrate into the society, into what it's offering you, that is when you discover stuff about yourself and about others, and everything that you've been sharing.
Yes, and not missing what that can bring, because when you're restricted about what you know, you will never open to the unknown. You will not give yourself that opportunity, because you just never know unless you are not attached to a place or certain circumstances, and just open yourself to. There's always the beauty on the unknown and something different, because it brings hope. It brings the new beginning of starting anew. So it does give you that fresh outlook of, there's no past mistakes. It's just, let's, start it again. And as always, that brings a smile on my face, because I always feel it's good, it's new, it's different, and it's exciting.
So I do have one more question. You mentioned the fact that you wouldn't mind living for a temporary time in Ecuador again. How would your husband feel about that? Would he be interested in living in Ecuador?
Yeah, well, see, that's why we're not there, because he won't like that. Um, there was a point that it was work was a little difficult for me, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know, because things are the way they are, and I didn't want to feel maybe restricted somehow. So I said, hey, how about we go to Ecuador? We don't have grandkids, which will be keep me here for sure. I'll go, we can, it's just me and you. And he didn't like the fact that he won't be able to communicate. The language was a big factor for him. He says, no, I go, but everybody speaks English over there. I don't know about that, but that's what I said, just kind of convince him. So I know he will like it, because he's a big gardener. So I know he'll have an opportunity, because where we at in Ecuador, being the center of the hemisphere, the weather is fantastic as well. Maybe that's why I love California, because I can relate to that. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's just perfect. So I know he will enjoy that, and he'll enjoy the food, but I know maybe after a month he will be ready to come back, because it's so much fun you can have. And then he was, where's my newspaper? Where's my, this just, we are creatures of habit. So I know he will like to have America back. Although again, I keep saying America, I'm American too. Did I tell you that, Claire?
Yeah, I
I'm
know you
American.
believe
I'm
that very
American.
passionately. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. I've really enjoyed you being on the podcast. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Claire. Thank you for this opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. I enjoyed every minute of it. I hope you did too, and your audience found some kind of useful. This old women here talking nonsense, but I appreciate this opportunity again, and I had a great time. Thank you. You're a great interviewer. I learned a lot too. Thank you.
Thank you.